Welcome to Bedtime Whisper. Now get comfortable, take a slow breath, and let's begin tonight's journey. The Gentle Boat on Silver River. A bedtime story for peaceful sleep. Far beyond the busy towns and glowing cities, hidden between rolling hills and quiet meadows, there flowed a river unlike any other. It was called the Silver River. By day, its waters shimmered softly beneath the sun. By night, it reflected the stars so clearly that travelers often wondered whether they were looking into the sky or into the river itself. Along its gentle banks stood willow trees that bowed gracefully toward the water, their long branches swaying like sleepy dancers in the evening breeze. And upon this peaceful river floated a small wooden boat. No one knew exactly who had built it. No one knew how old it was. Yet every evening, as the sky turned golden and the birds settled into their nests, the little boat would begin its quiet journey downstream. Tonight was one of those evenings. The sun was slowly sinking behind distant hills, painting the clouds in shades of amber, rose, and lavender. The world seemed to be taking a long, peaceful breath before night arrived. The gentle boat drifted away from the shore. The river welcomed it with tiny ripples that sparkled like silver threads. There was no captain steering the boat, no passengers aboard, only the soft sound of water and the whisper of the wind. The boat simply trusted the river, and the river always knew where to go. As it floated onward, the boat passed a field of wildflowers resting beneath the fading sunlight. The flowers nodded gently in the breeze. "Good evening," they seemed to say. The boat rocked softly in reply. Nearby, a family of rabbits peeked out from their burrow. They watched the little vessel drift by and twitched their noses curiously. One tiny rabbit yawned, then another. Soon the entire family disappeared back underground for the night. The boat continued on. The river curved through a quiet forest where tall pine trees stood like silent guardians. The evening air smelled fresh and sweet. Somewhere among the branches, an owl called softly, not loudly, not urgently, just a gentle reminder that night was arriving exactly as it should. The boat listened. The river listened. Even the trees seemed to listen. Everything felt calm. Everything felt unhurried. As darkness slowly deepened, the first stars began to appear overhead. One star, then two, then dozens. Soon the entire sky glittered with tiny points of light. The Silver River reflected every one of them. Looking down into the water felt like looking into another universe. The little boat floated between two skies, one above and one below. For a while, it seemed as though it were sailing among the stars themselves. A cool breeze drifted across the water. The boat welcomed it. The breeze carried stories from distant places, stories of mountains wrapped in mist, stories of quiet valleys filled with morning dew, stories of peaceful lakes where swans slept beneath moonlight. The boat listened without hurry. There was no need to rush through beautiful stories. The river had all night, and so did the boat. Farther downstream, the river widened into a broad, glassy lake. The water became so still that even the smallest ripple seemed important. Moonlight now stretched across the lake like a shining silver path. The boat followed it, slowly, quietly, comfortably. Near the center of the lake floated a group of sleeping water lilies. Their white petals glowed softly beneath the moon. A frog rested on one lily pad, snoring ever so gently. The sound was tiny and harmless. The boat drifted by without disturbing him. Nearby, dragonflies rested among reeds at the water's edge. Their wings shimmered like delicate crystal. Everything was peaceful. Everything belonged exactly where it was. The boat continued along the moonlit path. Soon it reached the far side of the lake, where the river became narrow once again. Here the water flowed beneath an ancient stone bridge. The bridge had stood there for centuries. It had watched countless sunsets and countless nights. Travelers often crossed it during the day, but at night, it belonged to the stars. As the boat passed beneath the bridge, moonlight briefly disappeared. For a moment, everything felt cool and shadowed. Then the boat emerged once more into silver light. The stars greeted it again. The moon smiled from above. The journey continued. Further along the river, gentle hills rose on either side. Their slopes were covered in soft grass that glowed faintly beneath starlight. Tiny fireflies danced among the fields. Their lantern-like lights blinked on and off, slowly, rhythmically, like nature's own lullaby. The boat watched them twinkle. There was something comforting about their steady glow. They never hurried. They never competed. Each firefly simply shone when it was time to shine, and rested when it was time to rest. The boat liked that very much. As midnight approached, a delicate mist began to gather over the river. Not a thick mist, just a soft veil that drifted above the water. Moonlight filtered through it, creating a dreamlike glow. The boat floated through the silver haze. The world became quieter still. Even the breeze softened. Even the river slowed. The mist wrapped everything in peaceful stillness. It felt as though the entire world had settled into a comfortable blanket. The boat drifted onward, always gently, always calmly, never worrying about what lay ahead. The river knew the way. The river always knew. Hours passed like quiet whispers. The moon climbed higher into the sky, then slowly began its descent. Far in the distance, the first hints of dawn started to appear. The eastern horizon brightened ever so slightly, Dark blue softened into pale blue. Pale blue blended into silver. Silver welcomed hints of gold. The stars began to fade one by one, not because they were leaving, only because morning was arriving. The boat watched the transformation. Night was giving way to day, just as it always had, just as it always would. The river flowed peacefully onward. Soon birds would wake, flowers would open. The world would greet a brand new morning. But for now, everything remained wonderfully quiet. The boat drifted toward a small, sheltered cove lined with willow trees. Their branches touched the water like gentle fingertips. The river slowed even more. The journey for the night was nearly complete. The little boat glided into the cove and came to rest beside the shore. No anchor was needed. No ropes were tied. The boat simply settled into place, comfortable, safe, peaceful. The willows swayed softly overhead. The river hummed its endless lullaby, and the first golden rays of dawn began to warm the horizon. The boat had traveled far during the night, yet it felt no tiredness, only calm, only contentment, for it had learned the river's secret long ago. There was no need to hurry through the journey. The river would always carry it forward, gently, patiently, peacefully. And as the new day quietly arrived, the little boat rested beneath the whispering willows, ready for another tranquil voyage when evening returned to the silver river once again. And somewhere beyond the hills, beyond the meadows, and beyond the morning mist, the river continued to flow softly toward distant